All right, this hangout is live on air.
All right. Can you hear the intro music?
I can't hear it. Can Leah hear it?
She can hear it.
She can hear it. Doesn't matter.
With it!
Leah
Leah.
is here.
Leah.
For the audio listeners, we have a baby Bob this morning. We have Leah Hall, our new co-host.
New and improved lineup here with
Very
the Leah.
She's going to be fairly quiet for the first podcast and just sort
Yeah.
of judge and observe.
As I was telling Bean before the show, she gets super drunk on breast milk. So she's sort of
that's-
slumped over and...
Well, is Amy drinking a lot?
No, have you ever seen a baby after they breastfeed?
Yeah.
They're like, they just start sagging. They look like super stoned. They're like, the eyes like start to flutter, and they like are blowing bubbles, and their heads are all wobbly.
That was like when,
That's me after ice cream.
yeah. That was like when Mom and I drove to go see you guys in the hospital. I had a sandwich and the same thing happened to me. So I just fell asleep immediately.
Well, because MGH is a big fan of turkey, and turkey does put
Yeah.
you to sleep.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And
That was
then
it. Go ahead, Bean.
and then on the drive back, my mom drove there and then I drove back and I had an omelet before we left and Mom was all like, "Are you gonna fall asleep? Are you gonna fall asleep?" I was like, "No, it's not a turkey omelet."
You know, I lately, because I've been fasting for Ramadan, like, the second I eat, I have to use the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
I'm so irregular, and it's like literally the slightest bit. Like last night, so yesterday, my team did an offsite in Connecticut. We went to my boss's house, which was like a mega mansion with a fucking gigantic cliff overlooking a pool. And I was like, this is super great. Invite everyone who will never be able to afford one of these to
Yeah.
an offsite here.
Just rub
we
it
can
in all
be
of our
like-
faces.
So we can all be like, oh, you're only 10 years older than us, and you have 3 kids and this pool? Okay, cool. So we were there all day, and I didn't eat at all, but they had plenty of food and booze and stuff, and he apologized. He's like, I know it sucks that you can't drink, because like this month I'm also going dry. And he's like, we'll do another one of these when you can. And I was like, no problem. So I took a bottle of water, because the bus ride back, like, I could break the fast at that point. And I literally, like, open up a bottle of Poland Spring, and I'm drinking it, and I'm like, I have to take a shit. It's just water right now, and it, like, the slightest bit of anything is just like, I have to use the bathroom. And I was like, I'm trapped on one of these charter buses with, like, 30 of my coworkers, and I was thinking about how my reoccurring stress stream is being on a bus taking a shit.
Oh wow, and it was actually real life.
But the crazy thing is, it subsided, which was great because I had like 45 minutes left on the road. Then I got into the city, and you know, my office is right next to a bunch of restaurants. Like I work across the street from Hillstone, which is a big favorite of Liz Hall's, I think, right? Don't you?
Mhm. You know, I love a steakhouse.
You know you love that. And so I went and had dinner at this place, Barbunia, which is Mediterranean food, which I was like, this hummus is not going to help.
Yeah.
The colorectal situation happening right now. So I went, and like literally after I ate dinner, I was like, will you guys excuse me? And it was one of my favorite kind of bathrooms. It's when you walk in, and there's this giant open space with like 8 private stalls. So it's all unisex, and it's like doors that lead into your own bathroom, but the sinks
Ooh.
are outside.
Ah, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thought I'd open up the podcast with some poops, since our new co-host is shitting her pants right now.
She
She's
is.
probably
She loves to
shitting
poop.
right now.
And her mom and dad celebrate heartily whenever she poops. Because
Yeah, it's like
she
a-
has yeah, she has a certain number she has to do every day, so we're very excited.
And she's hitting those numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's doing great.
Dude, she's more efficient than us, really.
She's
I've,
so
like,
much more efficient.
I've never felt more competitive with anyone than with Leah Hall.
Well, if you can fill your pants with poop that looks like creamed spinach, then you'll be in competition with her. Oh, you like that?
Done and did she laugh?
Yeah, she likes the jokes. Well, so she smiles when she has gas.
Um,
Oh
Who
man,
doesn't?
this girl, and Leah, you're gonna hate me when you grow up. Man, she can fart.
That's
how you know-
awesome.
That's how you know she's yours, because
Yes.
usually there's different characteristics, like when the baby's born to know who the father is.
Yeah.
The pictures that I've seen of her, she looks a lot like Amy, but she looks
Yeah.
like you too. I guess the babies, alternate. But the telltale sign and the way like evolution works is when she can rip ass, you know it's yours.
You know it's yours.
Oh, for sure.
She can rip ass.
She comes correct.
Yeah. She's funny. I think she's funny. When I was holding her in the hospital, she was making really funny faces. At one point, she yawned for so long that I didn't think she was going to be able to stop yawning. I got really nervous about it.
You're like, did I push a button? What did I do?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh god, how do I undo this yawn?
She has like
must be
no
exhausted,
motor
but-
control. I don't think. Like, so
Yeah.
I can't tell whether she's yawning or she just like lost control of her mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Is your
wasn't-
mouth just open permanently?
I wasn't even joking about feeling competitive. Like whenever I'm on my way to work, because work is my least favorite thing in the world, my mind automatically goes to my niece who's turning 2 next month, and I'm like, she's just farting up in her bed, like all up on the side of her wall, like just chilling, like she has not a care in the world, and I get like so stressed out. I'm like I'm looking at Leah right now, and I'm like, she's got it made. I mean, granted, she's got to go through like kindergarten and high school, which I would never want to do again, but for the next 5 years, she's solid.
I mean, right now, her entire life is basically if she doesn't like something, she just wails,
Yeah.
and somebody has to figure out what she wants and give it to her.
Yep. And it's one of like 3 things. It's a
Right.
boob,
Yeah.
or like just go to sleep,
Right.
or change
Yeah.
your diaper.
She doesn't even cry when she needs her diaper changed. It's really only the boob.
Yeah.
She just wants a boob.
She
You
just
know
wants
what's super awkward? Whenever I hold babies, they always reach for my boobs.
to-
Well, she's been doing that to me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she'll
just
start
nipples.
like probing and like trying to like suckle and like
Oh, I always thought it was just me because I have big tits.
and she
Right.
goes for like
Yeah.
the hairy nipple.
Yeah.
She's not
But it's
particular.
even more
Her
awkward when
eyesight's
she
not very
gets
good.
older and she continues to do it.
Oh, did you do one of those like instant skin to skin interactions?
Yeah, totally.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, she likes
But
it.
I don't know if you
It's fun
remember,
for her.
but Graham bought a shirt with snaps because he wanted to be able to tear it away the second Quincy was born.
Of
Oh,
course
wow.
he did.
Did
Yeah,
you hear
there
that?
she is, making noise.
He's a natural.
You had some sounds for the podcast?
Just to say.
This is like when Blue Ivy was on Jay-Z's song, like when she was like a month old. So Leah's already
Yep.
surpassed. Oh, she's in the Guinness Book of World Records right now.
Youngest podcaster.
Yeah, dude, she went for a walk yesterday.
She's she's the youngest
She's already
podcaster
walking.
on a podcast which is in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the fewest listeners. So this is just like this is shattering records all around.
Exactly.
Yes, you're internet famous, aren't you?
Oak, did you ever watch those videos Liz and I told you about like the kid who couldn't walk until she was 1, and he's like, "We're gonna get her there." She wouldn't walk till 1, and they have like a baby wheelchair and stuff.
No, I didn't see him.
You have to watch him.
Okay,
Oh,
It's the
I
same
think
guy
I-
who does like how to defend yourself from a baby, and he like puts his baby in a headlock and like flips it onto the bed. He's like,
Oh, I have seen those. Those are really funny.
Yeah, he like disarms her by slamming her hand up against the wall.
and she's like the coolest baby because she's just like chilling. She's not phased by it at all. It's like she was born for it.
Totally. That's how Leah's gonna be.
She's cool.
Is Amy already back at work and running triathlons? Because that's what I'm
Right.
picturing her doing right now.
Almost. She's in really good shape. She's feeling good. Everything's going well.
Amy's like, well, while you hold a baby and do your podcast, I'm just gonna repave the driveway for all of our neighbors.
right.
Exactly.
It's like, this house looks terrible. I'm gonna get to work. She's doing great. She has started to get more sleep. The first couple nights, like, there was no sleeping for her at all.
None.
Because Leah wanted to be fed every like hour and a half to 2 hours and wouldn't be put down. So she didn't sleep at all. But we've got kind of a system worked out where we'll take a shit. Like she can go for more like 4 hours now between feeds if she's sleeping. So
Wow.
we'll take her downstairs, and we'll watch TV for a little while, and that gives mom a chance to sleep.
What's your favorite show?
Well, last night she watched what's that Mark Wahlberg movie about being a Navy SEAL?
Oh, I don't know.
Every Mark Wahlberg movie.
I know. I was gonna say, isn't that every Mark Wahlberg movie?
Act of Valor or something like that.
Yeah.
A lone survivor.
Behind Enemy Valor.
Exactly.
Active. Something.
Leah was utterly
Boogie
indifferent.
Valor Nights. Is there a story behind the name?
Nope. We just really liked it. We had like an epic list of names, and we just sort of like picked it apart. And we came up. Leah was the one that we both agreed on, that we both liked, and we couldn't find any like. Usually we could find some flaw in every name. We couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
So.
But she has a middle name too.
Yep. Leah Caitlin Hall.
What's the name behind? What's the idea behind Caitlin? Because it's not C-A-I-T, it's K-A-T-E.
K-A-T-E. Yeah, we just liked it.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
Americans.
I like it too.
Names don't mean shit.
Totally. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Buddy.
Leah just means you. That's right.
I know, it's so funny because when this has happened with every single baby I've ever met, you hear the name and you're like, oh, interesting. And I think of the people that I know that are named Leah, and I'm like, oh, weird. And then I met Leah, and I was like, oh, you're Leah. It's the most perfect name for you that could possibly ever have been picked. Like, you're so obviously
You
Leah.
can't think of another name, man.
Well, the funny thing about like naming a baby is that disembodied names are so weird. Like when you're just trying to like.
That's so
pick
weird,
names,
exactly.
And all you have is either no association or you associate it with somebody else that you know.
Yep.
So it's that was like a challenging thing. Like Amy didn't like any names. She was like, totally stressed out about it until Leah was born, and then like awesome.
Yeah.
It's super stressful though, because I'm the most indecisive person in the world. So I don't think I would ever settle on it. I'd be like, I'm gonna take this birth certificate home with me.
Yeah.
And think about it, and then like 3 years later, I'd still be like, oh, I've got to do that. I know I need to do that. Sorry, I'll find
Sorry, you.
Yeah. Sorry, guy. Girl. Hey, guy.
How many hours after she was born did you name her? Was it like instantaneous?
It was
Or
instantaneous.
it wasn't instantaneous?
So when she was first born, they just cleaned her up with a towel and put her right on her mom's chest. And, we just looked at each other and we're like, Leah? Leah, yeah, because we thought of it. We sort of had that was our like leader going into it. And then when we saw her, we thought that was a really good name for her.
Yeah.
Next most important question is, has MGH decided what she's going to be called? Is she going to be Nana? Is she going to be Granny? Grandma?
Gigi.
Of course. I mean,
of course.
What else?
Which was also like, I was like I wasn't sure about it until I like saw her with Leah, and it was like such a good grandma.
Well, I can totally see her choosing that and then telling the nurses like, I'm her aunt. I'm sure to be her grandmother, so she's going to call me Gigi.
Yeah.
My grandfather did that. So in the Albanian culture, you call your mom's brothers and sisters something different than what you call your dad's brothers and sisters. So my grandfather, my mom's father, was so young when my mom got married at like 19, had a kid by 20, and my grandfather, I guess, was like 18 when my mom was born. So you got to figure he's like 38 and a grandfather. And he decided he was too young to be called grandpa, so he had all of us call him by the name for uncle. Which makes sense, you know. Like my brother used to tease my sister-in-law because when the baby was born and he would go out with her, he'd be like, "Yeah, this is my sister," you know, like sister. And he said it's a good tactic for getting girls.
Yeah. I think MGH is taking to being a grandmother pretty naturally.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think she really minds it.
Not at all.
And I really would love to do like like a theatrical rendition of her emails regarding Leah because there's lots of like OMGs and exclamation points.
Who's her copywriter? Jen Savage?
I think probably.
BT Dub.
Yeah.
TTL.
Yeah, BT Dub OMG exclamation point times a million.
Liz, you have a whole new character in your life for stand-up fodder.
I know. She's like the coolest person I've ever met, though, so I don't really know if I feel comfortable making jokes about her yet. She does make really funny faces, and I just can't wait till I get to spend more time with her because I can't wait to observe her while she's pooping, because I think that's my favorite thing in the world is watching babies poop.
No, but that's super stressful. You can't make eye contact with them. You have to let them be, or they'll get self-conscious about it.
Well, they like don't really make eye contact. It's like they're in such a state of ecstasy that it's like they don't even know that you're there. So you can basically it's like watching like a silverback gorilla in the wild. Like they just don't give a shit that you're there.
Yeah, you're gonna give her a complex. When Jen and I were down in Florida, Graham is like a super mom. He's like he's like the mom, and Martha's like the uncle. Like and the baby's like learning how to walk. It was like around her first birthday, so she had just been like taking steps and stuff. And we're sitting in the living room, and she's like trying to get away from us, and she's going by like the TV unit, like the TV stand, and trying to hide behind it. And we're all like, "Oh, she's so cute. What's she doing?" And Graham's like, "Nobody look at her. She's trying to shit, and she's not gonna shit if you're looking at her." So the grandparents, Jen, Martha, and myself are all like looking behind us, like as Leah, because her name is Quincy. Leah's the I checked. Leah's is Graham's brother's daughter.
Oh, that's right.
She's like ducking behind, and she's like checking to see if we're looking, and then looking away, and just like trying to unleash.
Yeah.
I was like that train's got to leave the station, so nobody look at her.
So far, Leah's not self-conscious. She does this kind of look where she just kind of smiles and like cocks one eyebrow.
That reminds me, Liz, your comment on Oak's picture of him leaving the hospital with Leah, you're like, how is Leah a couple of hours old and open-eyed and alert? And you're her father carrying her out of the hospital and your eyes are closed.
Yeah.
Whatever. Leah got 20 hours of sleep that day. I got 1.
Yeah, I also liked friend of the pod, Carl Palowitz's comment, cute tote bag Oak. Leah, what are you doing? Yeah, my baby best friend Jael has quite a.
Your baby roommate.
Yeah, not to be used by my baby roommate, who farted on me the other day and thought it was hilarious. But Jael definitely sequesters herself every time she has to poop, and she just like stands in the middle of the room, and you like go, and I'll be like go to grab her and like play with her or something. She's like, no, tanned, and tanned is like her stupid way of saying stand, and it basically means I'm standing here and I'm pooping. Don't touch me. I'm working on something here. And then you just have to like wait 10 minutes and change her diaper. I think she's getting ready to potty train actually. She's moving into a big girl bed and she's getting ready to potty train, which is.
What's the right age for that? Because I don't remember.
I think it's anywhere from like 2 to 4.
Really?
It's a pretty big window for this. Yeah, I think there's a pretty big window. And I also think it's like it takes a while. Like they're just some pants shitting and some pants peeing every once in a while, which happens. I mean, it's not going to happen to Leah. She's going to be potty trained in like an hour.
Yeah. I mean, Amy's probably gotten her pretty close to changing her own diapers at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, Leah, just so you know, your evacuation bag is on the floor next to ours. The Explorer bag.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Yesterday, so we're at my boss's house, and he has a beautiful pool, and he has a daughter who I think is probably like 2.5, 3, and he has a son who's I think like maybe like 3 months old, 4 months old, and the daughter was a big character. Like, I mean, she came in there, she was like high-fiving all of us. She was just like, there were beer cans all over the pool floor, and she's just like stepping over them looking for her toys. So they put this like little, like it wasn't a life vest, but it was like this like styrofoam square that had straps, and so she had it like almost like a backpack. And she just like dives into the pool, and she's like kicking around, whatever. But they had one of those like floating foam pieces that you could like lay on, and she was playing with it, and then she got under it, and there's a bunch of us on the side of the pool who see this and instantly panic. Like the baby's mother just screams like, "Can somebody help her?" And like lightning, 4 grown men fully clothed dove in the pool at the same time.
Oh my god.
Pull the thing off, and she's under there laughing. And I was like, those guys had like wallets and car keys and cell phones and just. But it was such a cool thing to see. Like our boss was like so proud of it. He's like, that's an amazing sight. Like 4 guys knew a little girl was in trouble and just dropped, like didn't even think. They just like dove in like Olympic swimmers.
Yeah.
And she's just like chilling there, like she knew what she was doing.
Yeah, and he's like, this crazy bee does this every day, and he's standing on this ledge in the pool. He's like,
Meanwhile,
she's told this joke on me like 100 times.
I would have loved to be one of the people who jumped in the pool, but I really don't know how to swim. So there would have been 2 people struggling for rescue
Right.
in that 3-foot pool. I'm like, ah.
Both of whom were pooping their pants at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm screaming and flailing, and then Byram, you can touch there. No, I can't. No, you can't.
But you already are. You're literally sitting down on the pool floor, and your head's in the water. You're gonna be fine.
You're still on the steps, Byram. You're still on the steps.
I actually, so when I was growing up, we didn't have a pool because I lived, in the city, but we, my aunt lived in Westchester and had access to this like private pool. So she used to like get us in there, even though you weren't really supposed to bring anyone besides your immediate family. She'd bring me and my brothers up there, and it was two things about this story. One, you had to pay to get in, but it was a turnstile, so she used to always just have me go under the turnstile, like at the subway, and I'd be like 11 years old and 300 pounds. I'm like, I'm gonna get caught. Like, I don't want to. Can you just pay the $3 to get in here? Yeah. But we used to hang out at that pool, and like it would have been a great place to learn how to swim. But I'm always one of those people who doesn't do stuff out of fear of being fucking like ridiculed over it. So I didn't want to be like the 10-year-old learning how to swim. Same reason why I didn't want to be like the kid in high school with braces. So I just waited until I was 30 and got Invisalign. But I'm just like lounging in the pool, and it's like one of those recessed pools, so like you can stay in like more shallow water. And I see this Mexican girl, and I was shocked that there was a Mexican girl at this private pool, first of all. And then, no offense, Mexican listeners of this podcast, but he was like a very white. Like I even felt too much of a minority to be.
Well, Jen Savage did just do a beach vacation, so she could look a little Mexican. So
she's gonna come back looking super Mexican. And she's like, she's in the deeper water, and she was struggling, and there was no one around to help her. And I literally just like walked over to the section where she was, and like the water was up to my chin, but I grabbed her and pulled her like over to where I was, and they were like all super grateful. And I was like, who would have thought that fat Byram at 10 years old with big pale titties would be like the lifeguard on duty? Like who would have ever predicted that would happen?
You never know. That little girl could have grown up to be Selena Gomez.
It's true.
She might have.
I wish we had footage of that so we could put it to like Baywatch like montage music.
Yeah, slow motion boob bouncing video.
So this same aunt had a country house in upstate New York, and we used to go up there and like swim by like Lake Superior, but I wasn't obviously ever swimming, so I would just kind of like wade in the water. And this one summer we were there for a week, and I made friends with this fat old lady who was just like wading in the water too. And I've always been like an old soul. Like I've always gotten along with old people. And I would just spend my days just like hanging out with her, like really shallow water and like squat pose, talking. Her name was Beverly, and she was a clown by profession.
Come on.
It's a noble calling.
It is noble.
While everyone else is playing like frisbee on the beach and stuff, I'm like in full-on squat mode with a 70-year-old clown just like talking about life.
This reminds me of the woman who lived out in front of your apartment building. The What Time Is Trying lady.
Oh, that wasn't my apartment building. That was when I was a doorman.
Oh, that's right.
Story?
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
So when I was in high school, I was a doorman, just proving how fucking old I am. Like I was a 17-year-old doorman for a private building.
Like one of the guys at the front desk of like an apartment building.
Yeah, and I don't know why they hired me, but it was like $14 an hour when you're 17, which is like what? And I didn't have to do anything, so it's even better. But everyone there was like super old and wealthy, and there was this one woman who lived upstairs, and it was almost like you would get giddy when the elevator door opened because you would hope it's her because she's gonna say something retarded. And she comes down one day and she's like, "What time is Trine?" And I'm like looking at her, being like, hoping she just repeats it because I didn't know what she said. And then she's like, "What time is Trine?" And I just told her the time because I was like, I don't want to be a dick about this. And she goes, "Oh, I thought it was earlier outside." And I was like, "Stop! Like I can't laugh." And then she leaves and comes back like hours later, and she's like, "Will someone buy me a blueberry pie?" For like her 3 things that day, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And then another funny situation in that building was there was Joe Lieberman's mother-in-law who lived in the building, and she was, she had dementia. She lived by herself, and she would come down sometimes. And one time she came down in like the dead of summer, and she had on like a wool suit, but she had a towel. And she's like, "Where's the pool?" And I was like, "Oh my God, what do I do? Do I tell her where the pool is?" And then,
because is she gonna go swimming in that?
Yeah. Or I didn't tell her we don't have one. Like I was so torn. And so I was like, "Oh, it's not open yet." I was like, "It'll be open in like an hour." And then I called Joe Lieberman. I was like, "Just so you know, your mother-in-law is about to be fucking swimming in a full-on flannel burlap suit." And I think after that they realized that she probably needed to have more supervision.
How did Joe Lieberman react? I want to know exactly what he said.
Joe Lieberman was like super, super chill with me. I guess like when he would come over with his wife, he never really wanted to spend too much time upstairs, so he'd hang out at the front desk with me. And he wasn't, he wasn't running for vice president at this point. He was still just like whatever he is in Connecticut, senator, I guess. And he was the nicest guy, and I like, contrary to Vanessa Williams, who used to go for voice lessons in this building. I should just write a memoir of my time as New York City doorman at 17. Vanessa Williams used to come for voice lessons in the building, and she was a total bitch.
Really?
Yeah. So one time she comes in for voice lessons, and I'm like, "Excuse me," because she just walked past the desk. I was like, "I need to announce you as a visitor." And so she comes over like huffing and puffing, and I was like, even though I knew full well where she was going because I had seen her before, I was like, I'm gonna take advantage of this where I have the upper hand. And I was like, "What apartment are you going to?" And she tells me, and so I buzz, and I was like, when the person picked up, I was like, "You have a visitor?" And she goes, and the woman on the phone was like, "Yeah, send her up." And I was like, but I didn't let Vanessa know that she said that. I was like, "Excuse me, what's your name?" And she's like, "Vanessa." I was like, "Vanessa what?" And she's like, "Williams." I was like, "Williams?" I was like, "Okay, you have someone Vanessa Williams here?" Just like fucking jabbing her as much as I could. Meanwhile, the woman already expected, There was also
like Vanessa Worcestershire here to see you. I don't know.
Yeah, Worcestershire.
Should we know you?
There was this guy who used to go walk his dog like in the park across the street. Again, this is like a very wealthy neighborhood. There's nothing to worry about. And so that's why I felt safe being a doorman there. And he comes back, and it's like 10 o'clock at night, and he comes back, and he's like, "Yeah, there's some garbage across the street that you might want to take care of." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "There's some kids hanging out by the entrance to the park, and like, you should probably call the cops and get rid of them." I'm like, "Dude, first of all, no. Like, I'm 17 years old. Those are my fucking peers. I'm not going to get jumped by them when I leave my fucking shift as overnight doorman,
Right.
So, like, I'm not even responsible for what happens. I'm not a security guard. Those kids could come into this building and I'm not going to do shit. My job here is to fucking greet you when you walk in. Like, you can't expect me to protect you. Like, there's no way."
Right. Also, this is America, right? Like, people are allowed to congregate freely.
Yeah.
Right, in a public park.
Did you guys ever have like really shitty? I mean, I know had shitty jobs. We've talked about them in the past, but do you guys ever? What were your jobs as teenagers? Because we'll start making a list of what Leah shouldn't do when she's 17.
So I can tell you some of my favorite job experiences. There was one, I was working as a fry cook at Jimmy
Oh,
D's
this story.
on Cape Cod. And
Jimmy Dean's?
Jimmy D's,
Oh.
and it's a sports bar in Eastham. And I had the worst hangover I've ever had in my entire life. Like the absolute like pinnacle of like alcohol poisoning hangovers, where it's just everything is wrong. So I'd struggled through this horrible fry shift where I'm just sweating into the fry later, just about to puke the whole time. Horrible, horrible stuff. I'm finally getting to the end of my shift. And Donna D, who was working the front, waves me out to the front of the house. She's like, "Oh, come on, I need you to help me with something," and waves me into the bathroom. One of the patrons had sat at the bar after having drank a tremendous amount of beer and ordered what the dinner that's called a home run, which is like a whole chicken, a side of ribs.
Oh my god!
And then like a piece of flounder or something, and then like
What?
3 sides. It's a massive meal. It was like $40 at like a cheap restaurant, and he had proceeded to spray it all over the bathroom, and literally in like a sprinkler motion.
Out of which direction?
So he was in the bathroom. He had filled the sink with chunks.
Oh!
And then painted across the wall, and then filled the urinal with chunks.
Oh!
And then it seems like he slipped or fell back against the wall because there was a pile like in the middle of the floor, like a little ways away from the urinal. So me and Donna were in there with nitrile gloves, like scooping the chunks of like partially digested ribs and chicken like out of the sink.
And then as you guys are saying there, the flounder just drops from the ceiling.
Yeah,
Oh my god, that's the worst.
yeah, it was pretty bad. That was, I think, the worst night of work I've ever had.
I'll never forget. There was one like month during my senior year of college where I had just like broken the seal on puking after drinking, and I would just like always drink to the point where I puke. And it started after I had gone to Stephanie's on Newbury Street, and for whatever reason, I was craving like fish and chips, and I got fish and chips, which was a bad idea because I would be pounding, rum. That's what I drank back then, just like fucking like fruit flavored rum on the rocks. And so I ate fish and chips, and my friends like still tease me about this to this day. My friends in college called me Todd, by the way, because they didn't think I looked like a Byram, so they used to call me Todd. And so I ate fish and chips, and then went to this like really nice building. My friend was dating some guy who had like rooftop access, and we're just like drinking and partying, whatever. And I went to the roof because I had to puke, and I puked in a planter, and my friend Jason's there. He's like, "Yo, Todd, what are you doing?" And I'm like vomiting into this planter, and I saw like a cherry tomato, and I was like, I didn't eat tomatoes. And then they just started bawling. They were like, they still to this day are like, I didn't eat tomatoes when they see me, because it was all I ate was like beige food. It was like fish and chips, And then there was like a fucking cherry tomato that came out whole with all of it.
Oh my god.
I think it's probably a polyp. I don't even know if it was, I don't know if it was a tomato.
Probably just a tumor.
Yeah.
Good job, you puked up your tumor.
Yeah. I'm in remission, guys.
I don't think I have any gross work stories like that. I do remember once when Oak and I were beach guards at the Wellfleet National Seashore Beaches, or Wellfleet Town Beaches. I was just learning how to use the walkie-talkie system, and there was like a couple of different channels, and there was one channel where you could like only talk to other beach guards, and then there was another channel where like, it got broadcast to like every single town employee. And one day I like turned on the walkie-talkie, and I was like, "Oh, can you get me some sandwich and some cigarettes?" And it turned out it was on the wrong channel, and I requested a sandwich and some cigarettes to the entire town of Wellfleet, West.
Like every cop's radio like chirps like, "Oh,
Yeah.
And they were like,
Can you get me some cigarettes?
all the cops sitting around, they're like, hey, that lifeguard with the big tits wants a sandwich. And they'll like rush over to you, and you just have like all these sandwiches and cigarettes falling at your feet.
There was also one day where, so there's this one, yeah, there was one beach where when the beach got closed, you would like go up to the top. There was like a kind of a long paved driveway, and the beach guards would go up to the top to like prevent people from driving down if like both parking lots were closed. And so one day it was like fucking batshit. There were so many people. Everyone wanted to go to the beach because this is the beach where the Beachcomber was, and so that's where the bar is. So people were like frantic to get to this place, of course. And there was this one guy, and I just wouldn't let him in. I wouldn't let him in, and I was like being kind of a bitch to him. And Oak was working down at the lot below, and he radios up and he's like, "We actually have a parking spot open." And so I finally let this dude in, and the guy pulls up to Oak, who's my brother, and goes, "What the fuck is up with that bitch up at the top of the hill? She either needs to get laid more or drink or eat more red meat." And Oak is just like, "Really? You know who you're talking to right now?" Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, she either needs to get laid more or eat more red meat.
Why is that the American answer to everything? It's like, you need more red meat in your diet.
Yeah. Or get laid more.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense, but like,
Right.
No.
Dude, people got crazy.
Crazy.
Like really just totally freaked out.
Like, the Wellfleet motto is fucking crazy about vacationing.
I mean, you would see, like, a dude's driving the station wagon with the whole family in the car, and the dad is in a rage, and the whole family is, like, crying, and they're all, "We just want to go home." And like,
Yeah.
We're gonna have fun if it kills every single one of us.
Yep, exactly. Like, "We are gonna eat at this shitty Clam Shack restaurant if I have to fucking paint the walls with all of your blood." It was so ridiculous.
It's cool that you guys work together though, because it reminds me of like when Saved by the Bell had their summer jobs and they like worked at the beach. Like, oh, how much fun would that be?
It was exactly it, except so much drunker and more fucked up.
Right, right. And then we had two jobs that we worked together. We worked at the beach together.
Yeah.
And then we'd go at night and we worked at the Captain Higgins together.
Yep. Both filthy. It's sunburnt and fucking hungover and psychotic.
Yep.
You guys were like the Captain and Tennille of Wellfleet.
I don't even know what that is.
A famous pair. The Antony and Cleopatra, if you will, of Wellfleet.
Sure. And now look who's here, little Leah.
Yeah.
She's going to make her first trip to Wellfleet in August.
Is she?
Mm-hmm.
Yay! She's gonna fucking throw down with some June bugs.
Totally.
Oh, are you on paternity leave?
I am, yeah.
For how long?
I have 2 weeks, so I'm going to take 1 week where I'm like off the grid, and then for the second week I'll probably start answering emails a little bit and just trying to help out.
Yeah.
And they're really flexible about it.
What's
Amy is taking 6 months off.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. So she gets 3 months paid, and then they'll hold her job open for another additional 3 months. So we're gonna take all of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Because you don't want to send you to daycare when you're so little.
No way.
I wonder if I can use Leah as an excuse to get some PTO at my job.
Yeah.
Can you guys just write a note?
Sure. Yeah, I'll even put some spit up on it to add authenticity.
Yeah. I can like feel myself like slowly starting to like pack up all my belongings, and I'm just gonna like move to New York. Not even know that I've done it, just to like be closer to Leah.
Totally.
You should. There's a reason why God put you in a living situation with another baby, because to prepare you for this, for your next roommate, your niece.
My niece.
She misses her Auntie Bean, don't you?
It was weird. Like when I left her, it like I really felt it like hurt my chest. I had felt like a sadness in my chest. It was
But
physical.
that was just your gun in your
Yeah,
bra.
right. But then once I took that out, it was physical pain.
Oh, does she have any aunts or uncles on her mom's side?
No, not yet. I mean, she did.
Like an uncle.
Because Amy's parents are expecting.
I thought you meant cousin. I was thinking cousin. No, Amy has a brother. She has a younger brother, so he's excited.
But I'm the only aunt.
Yes,
That's cool.
the only aunt.
Yeah, I'm the only aunt.
That is cool.
And we will be saying aunt, but that's okay. You can say whatever you want right now.
Auntie Bean.
Auntie Bean. Auntie Bean. The JL calls me Auntie Na.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because
I'm sure-
JL is a big reggae.
I know.
fan. She's like, El na na, auntie na.
Well, it's
Say
funny
girl
because
every
it's like
time.
the way she says it, she says Auntie Na, and it
Yeah.
sounds like Adina Howard of Freak Like Me, which is obviously one of our favorite songs.
Yeah. I want to freak
But-
in the morning, freak in the evening.
Yeah, Auntie Na. So every time she says it, I get that song stuck in my head. Auntie Na.
I love how your brain works, because you didn't think like, oh, Edina, Minnesota. You're like, no,
No.
Adina Howard, obviously.
Obviously.
The first and last song I bought on iTunes for 69 cents.
Yeah, exactly.
My ringtone on my flip phone.
Yeah. That might be my pick of the week, actually.
All right, kids. Leah started to do that little wiggle that means I'm hungry. You want to do picks?
Oh, I'm hungry too. Yeah.
Leah wants to go first. Her pick
Okay,
of the
Leah's
week
first.
is boobs.
Boobs.
Shit, that was my pick of the week.
Good
Let's
one.
see.
So I'm going to have to go with
Only
the
love.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at that. Look at that fist.
She's from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, she really is. Wait, where's Amy from?
Jersey's strong.
She's from California.
Wow, so you really have a neat, like a New Jersey baby.
Mm-hmm. Don't
New
tell
Jersey
Amy that,
baby.
though. She gets mad when I say it.
Amy's like, she has genes. She's fine.
Amy's like, she was born in New York.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well no, she is. She was born in New York, so you can say that.
Yeah.
My pick of the week is that movie which I kind of hate watch but wound up being really funny, Bad Neighbors with Seth Rogen and Zac Efron.
Oh, yeah?
It's actually I watched it illegally on my iPad, but it was really really funny. Seth Rogen is not funny. I hate him. But it was really, well written, and there's a lot of comedy in it. There's that chick from, I forgot what her name is. She's in Bridesmaids. She's like the chick who tries to become best friends with Maya Rudolph's character and snub Kristen Wiig. Her name's
what's
like
her
Rose,
name?
Rose Byrne or something like that.
Rose. Yeah, Rose Byrne.
She plays mother to a newborn, and the whole premise of the story of the movie is, they move into this house, their dream house, they sink all their money into it, they have a newborn, and then this frat moves into the house next door, and they want to be down with the frat because they miss their social lives, but at the same time, they party really late at night, so the kid can't sleep. So one scene, which makes it my pick of the week and appropriate for this baby-centric podcast, is they go out and they're going to tell the neighbors, like Zac Efron and Dave Franco, they're going to be like, listen, you guys need to lower the music, the kid's not sleeping. And the guys open the door, and they know that if the neighbors are going to complain, they're going to try to kill them with kindness and be like, why don't you guys come in? So they invite them in, and then Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen are like, yes, this is our chance to have a night out. So they get wasted. They go home the next morning. The baby's still sleeping, and Rose Byrne, I guess, if you don't, feed, your breasts become over-swollen and pain, whatever, it hurts.
Swole.
Swolled. And so he has to milk her.
Oh!
Because they can't let the baby do it because it's so
Full of
toxic.
booze.
All the booze. Yeah. So she's like, you have to do it, and he's like, I don't want to. And then she's like, you have to, and then you can see her nipples are covered, but you can see dark veins forming on her breast meat.
Oh.
Breast meat is my second pick of the week. And so he's like, okay, bend over. And she's like, you're not going to milk me like a cow. You have to just do this, whatever. And he just starts, massaging them, and they just, So,
Gross.
yeah, watch that movie if you want.
My pick of the week is not that story. But it is Adina Howard Freak Like Me, but it's also Leah's butt. Leah's butt is my pick of the week. I can't
Leah's
wait to see
butt
what
is
it
my
does.
pick of the
There's
week,
look
too.
at her butt. There it is. Video viewers. There's her butt.
Liz, when are you coming? When are you coming to town?
The minute I have my sprinting shoes on, the minute Okanini give me the word, I'll be there.
Let's touch base about what your days off are.
Okay.
And you can come stay with us for a couple days.
Oh, look at that butt. She really,
Look at that
she
butt.
really has a badunk for a 5-month, 5-day-old.
Yeah, and she's still in newborn diaper, so that's all her.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. We're gonna get this little one to her mom.
All right.
Lillian.
Great to see you.
Yeah. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
If he lets me, I'll be back next week.
Perfect. Yay.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. y'all.